And more than a mentor, this is like a big brother to me. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Carlos Wallace.
Thank you, sir. I know y'all can give me more than that. Now I got to stand in front of all these students and my fellow brother, Mr. Alexander. As he said before, we grew up together, but y'all see I'm a lot prettier. Nah, that's my guy, man. I've known him since far back as I can remember. I think around like the first or second grade. So we've known each other a long time. Grew up in a little small community named Jacksonville, Texas. A lot of y'all probably never heard of it. You clap for that. Some great people came from there. So let's get this started. Y'all gonna be graduating in a couple of years. How many in here have an idea what they want to do? What you want to do, young lady? Oh, hey. I can't hear if y'all talking. I'm sorry? Sports medicine specialist. All right. Anybody over here, you know what you want to do? How about you, young man? Music producer. Okay. All right. Well, at least two people in here way ahead of me when I was your age, because I had no idea what I wanted to do. Small town, I knew like the 5 professions. I knew teacher, police officer, fireman, I don't know, my grandfather was a judge, so I knew that. And my father was a railroad engineer, so I knew that. But I knew I didn't want to do any one of those things. So I joined the military. And I was already thinking ahead to 38 in retirement. I was like, you know what, I'll join at 18, I'll do my 20 years, at 38, I'll come out and I'll retire, and I'll just hang out for the rest of my life. Well, I go to the Persian Gulf War, came back to Japan, and I broke my ankle. And God had a whole different plan, because the Navy said, well, look, with bad ankles, we can't use you. So you need to go back to East Texas. So that plan didn't work out. So I was right back at square zero, not knowing what I wanted to do. So, as I mentioned before, my grandfather was a judge. He used some of his personal connections. He got me a job at Texas Department of Corrections. I worked on death row for 19 months. For real. 19 unpleasant months. There wasn't nothing good about it. And I knew every day that I didn't want to be there. So after a while, my father said, are you sure you still don't want to work for the railroad? And needless to say, I changed my mind. Well, I became an engineer with Union Pacific, just like my dad. And there I was for 23 years, an engineer. And I loved every minute of it. 5th generation. My father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and great-great. To be in the industry where 5 generations of your family have worked, it's not a lot of people can say that. But even with that blessing, I complicated it. Because there was days that I thought like a chicken instead of like an eagle. There's a big difference between the chicken and the eagle. They're both birds. But if you ever see 2 of them at the same place at the same time, one of them's out of place. And more often than not, it's the eagle. Because see, you're not going to see a chicken flying at 15,000 feet. But you might catch that eagle. But if that eagle is hanging out in the chicken coop, you looking at him wondering, why are you in that chicken coop? And there was times that I thought like a chicken. Well, on October the 15th, 2005, another engineer bumped me off my turn. I was on a road turn from Houston to Lufkin. We're on a seniority board. It was 8 engineers, and we get called out whenever trains are available for us to take a train from Houston to Lufkin, swap out with another crew. And the guy bumped me. He's a white guy. And right away, see, I'm thinking like you. I'm thinking, man, he must not like me. He must be racist. And I'm going to give him a piece of my mind when I see him. That was around 10 o'clock that morning. So all day, it's cycling in my mind. When I see this dude, I'm giving him the business. So by 7 o'clock that night, they got called out. I'm watching it on the computer. I see what train they catch, so I call my conductor. I said, hey man, is that dude near you? He said, yeah, why, what's up? I said, well, I want to talk to him. I want to know why he bumped me. I wasn't the lowest guy. Why didn't he bump the lowest man? That's how we do it, because I'm number 4. All I'm going to do is bump number 5. Number 5 will bump number 6, so forth and so on. So why not go just straight to number 8? He said, well, it was the last day of the pay period, Carlos, and you were first out. So I wanted to make sure I got out today, so I have a pay period today. Oh, well, that made perfect sense. So here I was all day mad about something that made no sense at all. And he gave me a reason, even though he didn't have to. He has more seniority than me. He has the right to bump me whenever he wants to. 2 hours later, I got the call back from that same conductor. Breathing hard, crying. The engineer was dead. When they got to the train, somebody lined the wrong switch. And the southbound train, 60 miles an hour, hit them head on. See, there are times when God is taking you out of harm's way and you get upset about it, not realizing it was the best thing for you. Now, I was mad because this guy bumped me, but had that been me, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. Now, I get a chance to travel a lot speaking to primarily college students. So I travel around, I get to speak to a lot of colleges. And not too long ago, I was in Cleveland, Ohio. And I was staying in a hotel outside the city, so I had to take an Uber in every day. So this particular day, Uber driver picks me up, and the title of my book is Life is Not Complicated, You Are. So I usually travel with a t-shirt on with that title. And of course, as you know, it usually begs a question, and it starts a conversation. And he asked me what the shirt meant, so I told him. And I told him why I was there, and he said, well, what do you normally speak about? I said, well, I try to explain to people about being an eagle and not a chicken. And he said, well, man, I got a situation I'd like to share with you and get some advice. I said, go ahead. And as he's talking, I'm surveying his car, and he got a picture of a young couple of kids, a boy and a girl, and a young lady. I'm assuming it's his wife or girlfriend. He said, man, whenever I'm in my other car, the cops are always pulling me over. I said, well, what is it? He said, it's a Dodge Charger, man. It's all black with dark tinted windows, 22-inch rims. You know, the whole nine. It's decked out. I said, why do you think they're pulling you over? He said, it's got to be because I'm black. I said, I thought you told me your windows were tinted. He said, yeah, they are. I said, well, how they know you were black? They can't know you black till they pull you over. He said, well, I didn't think about it like that. You think it like a chicken. I said, so let's dig a little deeper. Why? I mean, let's think about this, man. Why do you think they keep pulling you over in this car? He said, well, it's a couple of drug dealers that live near me that drive a car just like mine. said, are those your children? He said, yeah. I said, is that your wife? He said, yeah. I said, do they ride in that car? He said, yeah, when we all go out. I said, you mean to tell me your ego is so big that you put your family's life in danger just because you want to drive a car that look like a drug dealer? The cops is the least of your worries. What if a rival drug dealer see this car and they shoot this car up and everybody died but you? How you gonna live with yourself knowing your family died because you wanted to drive this car? And you talking to me about the cops. And I gave him an autographed book because he was complicating life. Thinking like a chicken. See, it wasn't about the police. It was about the perception. And he wanted to make it about his race. It wasn't about that. One last story I'm going to share with y'all, and it's about me. Like I said, I joined the military. When I came home, a buddy of mine, he discharged around the same time I did. He was in the Army and had been stationed in Germany. I was in the Navy and I had been stationed in Japan. We hadn't seen each other since we both joined. So we just been hanging out all day and just reminiscing, talking about old times. And all he talked about is how he wished he could go back to Germany. And my father would tell me all the time, hey, that guy ain't your friend. See, you have moved on in life. You talking about tomorrow, and all he keeps talking about is yesterday. That ain't your friend. But I didn't listen, of course. So he began to tell me this story about this young lady he had met, and he wanted to go pick her up. You know, he wanted me to meet her. She was cool and all this. So we did. And we riding around, and she needed to use the restroom. So we pull over, and she using the restroom, and I noticed two guys arguing. And it was about 2 weeks before Christmas. And I let my window down, and I said, yo, man, y'all chill out, man. It's Christmas. Hang tight. And one of them said, F you, N-word. Yeah, that's what I said, too. I said, man, why we got to go through this? And about that time, he charged up to the car. And I said, look, man, you need to back up. Well, of course, he didn't. And I had a pistol under my seat. And I pushed the door open. I pushed the door open hard enough to push him back. And he stumbled back, and as he charged back up to me, I hit him with that gun. No, don't clap for that. So by that time, it's cold enough, so when I hit him, the cold, it hurt my hand, so I dropped the gun, and I'm trying to get to the gun because I don't want him to pick my gun up and shoot me with my own gun. My buddy gets out of the car to make sure his buddy don't double up on me, so it causes this big old commotion. Service station attendant calls the police. Within minutes, they show up. Cops get there, and it's a cop that knew me, knew my mother, knew my father, knew my whole family. He said, Carlos, you have a gun? I said, yep. He said, man, you can't do that. What's wrong with you? I told him what he called me. He said, yeah, but come on, man. You know better. You was raised better than that. You know I got to take you to jail. I don't care. And we're on the way to jail, and he was explaining to me, he's like, man, you just got that job with the railroad. What your parents gonna say? I hadn't thought about that. We got to Jacksonville police station, fingerprinted, and took me to Rusk. That's where I had to spend the night. Now I got time to think about it. And I was thinking, you know what? I didn't win that fight. He did. He's at home with his family, and I'm sleeping on this concrete bench. Who's the real winner? Well, the night couldn't have passed any faster. Because about 6:30 or 7 o'clock, the jailer came to the door and said, look, your mother's here to pick you up. That's when I really got scared. Because it ain't a jailer or a prison guard in America more terrifying than my mother. And all I was thinking is, man, it's about to go down. So she posted bail and grabbed me by the ear and said, what the hell wrong with you? And she said, we about to go talk to this judge right now and get this settled. So we go, we talk to the judge, he pulled me in his chambers and he said, I'll tell you what, Carlos, you got too much going for you. If you let me have that gun, we'll just act like this never happened. I said, sir, you just got yourself a gun. From Russ, Texas to 1015 Columbia Street, which is my home address, my mother's address, is exactly 13 miles. That was the longest 13 miles of my life. Because here I am with this lady in a car, and I can't go anywhere. And I can't repeat everything she said, not during school hours. You meet me after school, I have to tell you in private. It was rough. I need you to sign a permit slip first. But it all came to one thing, and it was pretty much, when we get home, you pack your stuff and you get to Houston, and I mean right now. But before I walked out the door, the phone rang, and it was the chief of police. And he said, Carlos, I know you leaving town, because Alice, I've already talked to her, but before you leave, I want you to come by the station. I want to show you something. I said, yes, sir. I go by the station, and he wanted to show me a police report that my buddy had written. Now, when they arrested me that night, this guy drove my car home. But apparently, before he drove it home, he went by the station to give his statement, and he said that I told him that I bought a gun that day to specifically kill me a white person. Now, let that sink in, because had I gone to trial, the one person that was there to speak on my behalf had already written his statement. At that time, that would have been an aggravated assault. And in Texas, an aggravated crime, you have to do at least 85% of your time. 20 years, so I would have done at least 18 years. So here I went from thinking 20 years in the military to retire to 20 years in the state penitentiary. All because I thought this guy was my friend. I was an eagle hanging out with a chicken. So if you don't get anything from me today, you get that. Y'all mascot is eagles. So if you don't know anything else for the rest of your life, you do know you are an eagle. That's my time.